cut us off. Right after we're done here, we'll go to the hall. They want me to help with the bar. I won't stay. Go read some chairs and this type of stuff.
Somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. I gotta take one.
Ready for action?
Down the center, I think.
No, we'll go down.
Yeah, down the center.
And then but they're coming in that way.
Everybody here? Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, members of the Canadian Armed Forces, the Royal Canadian Legion, first responders, 300 Fisher Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Cadets, friends and family, welcome to our service this morning. I am Catherine Tucker. I am a member of the Rosetown Legion, a retired police officer with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and a veteran. But today I have the honor of being your Master of Ceremonies for our Remembrance Day service. I would ask that you please stand for the singing of O Canada and remain standing until you are advised to be seated. happen first. So if you'll remain standing, they will march on the colors now.
Parade. Parade cut and shut. Parade file left. Quick. March. Parade. Halt. Color party, stand fast. Parade dismissed. Nope. Color party. Single file by the left. Quick march. Color party advance left turn. Color party deposit colors. Color party right turn. Color party to your seats. Dismissed.
We will now proceed with playing of the last toast, the 2 minutes of silence, and then the route. I ask that everybody remain seated or standing for that. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. We will remember them. They were young, as we were young. They served, given freely of themselves. To them we pledge amid the winds of time, to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them.
We will remember them.
Please be seated. Now I would like to ask Mrs. Angela Walker to please come up and read in Flanders Field.
In Flanders Field, a poem that was written May 3rd, 1915, by Canadian Physician Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly. There's heard among the valleys below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands we throw the torch. Ye yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies blow in Flanders Fields.
We will now proceed with the laying of the wreaths. We will start with the dignitaries, service clubs, followed by families. In past years, I've asked that those laying wreaths enter through the kitchen door closest to the main entrance of the gym, and then you'll exit through this door up here to lay your wreath. So I will meet you in the kitchen.
Remembrance Day for all fallen comrades, presented by Karen Walker, the local Legion president. The government of Saskatchewan, in memory of all fallen comrades, made by our MLA, Jim Ryder. of all fallen comrades. Captain Brian Collins. The Rosetown Fire Department, in memory of all fallen comrades, laid by Deputy Chief Rex Fuller. The town of Rosetown, in memory of all fallen comrades, laid by Mayor Trevor Hay. The RM of St. Andrews, in memory of all fallen comrades, laid by cadets. The RM of Pleasant Valley, and the RM of Marion, in memory of all fallen comrades, laid by a cadet. Royal Canadian Legion, branch number 66, in memory of all fallen comrades, made by President Aaron Water. The Masonic Lodge, in memory of all fallen comrades, made by Dale Inlet. The Knights of Columbus, in memory of all fallen comrades, made by Gary Roble. The Rosetown Lions Club, in memory of all fallen comrades, made by Steve Witter. First Rosetown Scouts, in memory of all fallen comrades, made by a scout. Rosetown Central High School, in memory of all fallen comrades, presented by the SRC. Remember the Lucic family and the Churchman family, presented by the Lucic and the Churchman family, for Matt, presented for in memory of Matt Lucic and John and Dot Churchman, presented by the grandchildren Eva and Ksenia Churchman. Donated by Louise LaFortune, in memory of Ray and Marge LaFortune, presented by Legion members. Donated by the Matheson family, in memory of Alexander family and Ivan Matheson, presented by Noel Matheson, Dorsey Matheson, Ryder Matheson, and Heidi Matheson. Donated by Gordon and Leland Ward family, Edna and Roy Ward, and Uncle Gordon Ward. Presented by Fennel and Jenna Ward. Donated by the Clark family, in memory of Lloyd Clark, presented by a cadet. Donated by the Herb Stevens families, in memory of Herb Stevens, made by a committee member. Donated by the Morris family, in memory of Ron and Thelma Morris, made by a scout. Donated by the Morrison family, in memory of Dean Morrison, made by Rob Morrison. Also donated by the Morrison family, in memory of Stuart Morrison and Joe Cowan, made by Skylar Morrison. Donated by Bob Bertolo, in memory of Jim Bertolo, made by Bob Bertolo. Donated by the Lois Henderson and family, in memory of Green Henderson, made by a cadet. Donated by the Bell family, in memory of Norma Bell, made by Elaine Jones and Brian Jones. Donated by Lucille Hickman family, in memory of Don Sweet, made by a Legion member. Donated by the Joan Johnston family, in memory of W.T. Johnson, made by Shirley, Jeff, and Cameron. And also donated by the Joan Johnston families, in memory of Lloyd Johnson, made by Shirley, Jeff, and Cameron. And donated by the Butter family, in memory of Alexander Butter and William Butter. Donated by the family. And donated by the Jeffrey family, in memory of W.G. Jeffrey and W.A. Jeffrey, made by the family. Donated by the Jeanette Abbott family, in memory of Private William Morgan, made by Ashley Hyatt, Lucas and Thomas Holder. And donated by Ken Hyatt, in memory of Randall Hyatt, made by Ken Hyatt and Lucas and Thomas Holder. Donated by the McCullough and Cross families, in memory of Sir James McCullough, made by a Legion member. Donated by the Lawson family, in memory of Private Jim Lawson and Tommy Lawson, made by George and Paul Rutherford. Donated by Ellen Blair, in memory of Sergeant Sean Blair, presented by the Legion member. Donated by Crystal Frey, in memory of Rory Hasseltine, made by a scout, or a cadet, sorry. Donated by Crystal Frey, in memory of William Scott, made by cadet, sorry. Donated by Claire Seibel, in memory of Sir Herbert Scott, made by great-grandchildren Mitch, James, Rebecca, and Andrea Dunweiler, and Jackson, Connor, and Wade Seibel. Donated by Maxine Cormac, in memory of William Cormac, made by the Legion member. Donated by Jackson Gleason, in memory of John P. Clausen, made by Jackson Gleason and Vern Clausen. Donated by Don and Rita Markham, in memory of Lance Corporal Charles Markham, made by Don and Rita Markham. in memory of Snook Sanderson, made by great-great-grandchildren June and Abigail Prince. Donated by the Collins family, in memory of Second Lieutenant E.G. Collins, made by the Scout. Donated by the Verity family, in memory of Mark, Denny, and Pat Verity, made by the Scout. Donated by Marilyn Brown, in memory of British Home Children of Canada veterans, made by the Scout. Donated by Marilyn Brown, in memory of Tom and Roy Gilbert, made by the Scout. Donated by Phil Brown, in memory of Al Brown, Royal Air Force, made by Phil Brown. Donated by the Tucker family, in memory of Norman Tucker and Simon St. John, by great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren, Karen, Tessa, and Rowan.
Well done, everyone. Thank you. We will now proceed with the collection.
I had a mental lapse, and I couldn't remember Kevin Gillette's name. So in fairness to me, the process had been, and it is today, that people would walk in, they would card, and then I would announce, and Kevin came in, made his read, and didn't give me a card. I went blank. So finally somebody prompted me to be honest and said, Kevin, hold on. So yes, because I had volunteered to do this presentation, I thought of that moment and thought, I have an awesome presentation in 2021, and I had, so I plagiarized Kevin's presentation, and that's what I'm going to present to you today. And thank you, Kevin, I think you wherever you are. So today is about remembering the sacrifices of those who fought and continue to fight, those who retired from active duty, and many of those struggle to reintegrate into our society. It's a time to remember that their sacrifice had significant impact on their loved ones, their friends, and their communities. As most people in this community know, Kevin was a high school social studies and history teacher for 30 years. It used to frustrate me when you hear some people say that kids were not learning about the wars and Canada's military efforts for sacrifices. These things are part of the provincial curriculum, and Mary and he can assure you they're all taught in schools across this province and other provinces. His son-in-law, who is also a high school teacher in Lethbridge, has the honor and the privilege to teach a whole course dedicated to the Canada's military history. So when Kevin was teaching me about our military history, he tried to design lessons that would hook students and capture them and make them sit up and take notice of what this actually was. Like so many other teachers and those in the media, we often use statistics or interesting facts that illustrate the importance of our nation's war efforts and sacrifices. Whether it's facts about Canadians killed in action, or numbers of Canadians who served, or some facts about the capabilities of certain weapons, statistics and facts seem to be the way to have students take notice. So I'm going to do that to you guys. Today I'll share some of Kevin's statistics with you to illustrate the impact Canada's Army, Navy, and Air Force have been involved in many armed conflicts and peacekeeping missions, and this lends to a wide variety of statistics and facts that do astonish us. I'm also going to share some information on the RCMP, because while, in my opinion anyway, the Royal Canadian Legion is very, very strongly linked to wars and to individuals who lost their lives in combat, the RCMP are also members of the Canadian Armed Forces. So I'm going to give you information about that as well. Kevin started his statistics at the turn of the century when Canada sent 7,368 volunteers to fight alongside British forces in the South African War, 1899 to 1902. 280 Canadians died in the conflict. Unfortunately, there's only 5 Canadians that we know of where they're buried. The rest, we don't know. The Canadians fought alongside the much larger British force. In order to strike a blow against the Boers, the British had a string of fortified blockhouses across 6,000 kilometers of Boer territory. These man fortresses were about 1 kilometer apart, surrounded by barbed wire, and then between them. World War I, the Great War from 1914 to 1918, saw our young nation send another 620,000 to Europe. When that war ended on November 11, 1918, the death toll for the Canadian Expeditionary Force was a staggering 66,665. This was more Canadians killed in action than all wars combined. World War I was the first war where we really saw the devastating power of modern military weapons. The fight such a war, and old world tactics and modern weapons led to a loss of life unlike any previous war ever fought in the history of mankind. Soldiers of all armies literally had to dig in, forming a 700-kilometer line of trenches on the Western Front. They had to dig in to escape the murderous effect of the artillery and machine gun fire. Attacking in the open was suicidal, and the results were horrifying. For example, in about 1 hour, 710 soldiers of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment were mowed down by enemy machine gun fire at the Battle of the Somme near Beaumont in 1916. Excuse me, I'm sorry. My uncle, my great uncle, William Morgan, who was memorialized here today, he was killed in that battle. He was 16 years old. He was 14 when he enlisted. He lied about his age. And it just really drives home just the devastating impact war has. They were trying to attack an open spot in the barbed wire embankment in front of their trench line. And then at the infamous Battle of Vimy Ridge on April 9, 1917, Canadians were victorious in capturing a heavily defended ridge. The cost was high. German artillery and machine gun fire killed 3,598 Canadians and wounded another 7,000. World War I was to be the war to end all wars, but as we know, that was not the case. When Hitler came to power in Germany, it wasn't long before the world was embroiled in World War II. Canada sent approximately 1.1 million men and women into service. 45,000 were killed in action. Nearly 10,000 of those killed were part of the bomber crews who flew so many dangerous missions over Germany, held territory in Western Europe. Another 2,000 Canadians of the Royal Canadian Navy were killed in the Battle of the Atlantic. Our worst single-day loss of life during the war was Dieppe, where the August 1942, 916 Canadian soldiers were killed, and another 1,946 were taken prisoner. The Normandy campaign that started with D-Day on June 6, 1944, saw another 5,000 killed in action. The Italian campaign of 1943-44 saw another 5,400 Canadians killed and another 19,000 wounded. The Atlantic Wall, the formidable German line of fortified defenses designed to repel any Allied attack along the Atlantic coast, stretched a nearly 2,700 kilometers from Norway to Spain. It's interconnected. Strong points covered almost any part of the coastline that could be invaded. There's over 8,000 concrete structures, and today many of them still stand as a boasting testament to the war. Artillery and machine gun placements were strategically positioned to inflict the greatest kill zones possible. The Lons-sur-Mer gun battery was an example of one such strong point along Normandy's coast. Its 4 concrete casements each took 600 square meters of concrete, 4 tons of steel reinforcements held each of 150 millimeter artillery piece that could fire 20 kilometers out into the English Channel. The walls and ceilings of each casement were over 2 meters thick, and they still stand today, and they still have the guns in place. The Korean conflict from 1950 to 1953 was the first time Canada sent troops into battle as part of a UN force. 26,791 Canadians were part of the UN force to serve in Korea. 516 Canadians were killed in action, and more than 1,000 were wounded. The Korean conflict, often referred to as the Forgotten War, was Canada's 3rd deadliest war. Canadians were noted for their brave and effective fighting during the war. For their gallant stand at Capdown, the 2nd Battalion of Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry received the United States Presidential Unit Citation. Other awards for valor by Canadians during the Korean War include 9 Distinguished Service Orders, 33 Military Crosses, 5 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 8 Distinguished Conduct Medals, and 53 military medals. And did you know that there is a United Nations Memorial Cemetery in Busan, South Korea, where 2,300 soldiers from the U.S. forces are buried? 376 of those are Canadians. More than 5,100 Canadians served in the Persian Gulf War from 1990 to 1991 through invading Iraqi troops who had invaded Kuwait. Our main contribution to the coalition force was our Navy and our Air Force, which saw combat action in Desert Storm. The Persian Gulf War was the first conflict where Canadian women served on the front line, and fortunately, no Canadians were killed in that battle. The war in Afghanistan, and we all know these wars. Appears to be Canada's longest running conflict, starting in 2001 and ending in 2014. During that time, more than 1,000 Canadian Forces members served in that region, and 158 Canadians were killed. The war in Afghanistan was the first major conflict that saw all of our soldiers, all of our soldiers who were killed, they were repatriated, which means that their remains were brought home. Most of us can vividly remember the flag-draped coffins of our fallen heroes as they were carried from the Canadian Armed Forces planes at Canton Air Force Base, transported down Highway 401 to Toronto, and following that Highway 401 became known as the Highway of Heroes. One of those soldiers was Captain Nicola Goddard, the very first Canadian female soldier ever killed in combat. As members of the UN and NATO, we've been called on many times to provide peacekeeping and humanitarian services all over the world. Our armed forces, Navy and Air Force personnel have been tasked with keeping peace in hostile parts of the world. They have done an incredible job in very, very difficult and tense situations. Starting with a mission to calm hostilities along the border between Pakistan and India in 1948 and continuing to this day. Our troops are continually helping to make the world a safer and more peaceful place. By 2006, over 120,000 Canadians have served in more than 50 peacekeeping missions. And though these missions are considerably less dangerous, they don't come without the risks. 180 Canadians have died while serving peacekeeping missions. For the RCMP, we've had a total of 234 officers with the RCMP and with its predecessor, the Northwest Mounted Police. They died in the line of duty. From August 1920 to June 2014, 78 RCMP officers were shot and killed while on duty. More than 80 have died in vehicle, plane, and boat accidents. 76 other officers have died on duty, have died from various causes such as natural disasters, workplace accidents, and during special forces assignments. In June 2014, 3 New Brunswick RCMP officers were killed and 2 others were wounded during a shootout with a gunman in a suburban Moncton neighborhood. There's some others, I'm not going to do 78 of them. November 2007, these are some that we may remember. Constable Douglas Scott was shot and killed on November 5th in the Baffin Island hamlet of Timaru, about 120 kilometers south of Calgary. Scott was from Rockville, Ontario, and he was responding to a complaint about an impaired driver late in the evening. In October 2007, Constable Christopher Warden was shot in Hayward, Northwest Territories. He was responding to a call from a house for assistance at 5 a.m. when he lost radio contact with his fellow officers, and they later found him suffering from gunshot wounds to the head in the woods. He passed away in hospital later. There were 2 RCMP officers, Constable Robin Cameron, she was 29, and Constable Mark Dodge, 26, were both shot in the head July 7th after a car pursuit of a domestic violence suspect in the Nunander earlier, Milton, Saskatchewan. They passed away later in the hospital. 4 RCMP officers were ambushed and shot to death near Marethorpe, Alberta. And I'm sure we all remember that one. They were investigating reports of stolen auto parts as well as a small marijuana operation. In February 2004, Corporal Jim Galloway, 53, a dog handler based in Edmonton, was shot and killed during a 6-hour standoff at Spruce Road, a bedroom community outside of Edmonton. December 2001, Constable Dennis Strongfield, 52, and his partner stopped a truck near Rosetown, Manitoba, intending to cite the driver for failing to dim his headlights. They were both, a passenger got out of the truck and started shooting at them. They got into their vehicle and drove back to the detachment. They were pursued by the vehicle that ran the vehicle into a fence. One of the officers escaped and Strongfield was killed inside the vehicle. RCMP Vernon Seawald, 47, was shot and killed while responding to a domestic dispute at Cape Dorset, Nunavut. Special Constable Gordon Kowalczyk, 35, answered the call from the gas station near Calgary Airport about a customer who had left without paying for fuel. And the suspect shot him at point blank range when he walked up to the vehicle. Constable Alan Deesbrook, 31, investigated a report that a man in Bakerville was brandishing a shotgun. He and 4 other officers arrived at the house, adorned with signs scrawled with anti-RCMP slogans, and he was shot and killed in the stomach. He was wearing a protective vest. Constable Brian King, I know that name is familiar to all of us too, stopped the car for a routine check in the north end of Saskatoon. He was attacked and forced into the vehicle and shot and killed. Constable Roger Pirlet, 23, was working on a motorized patrol, looking for vandals in Cloverdale, BC, when he stopped the car to be searched. There were 2 men in the vehicle, one whose brother died in a high-speed chase between the police prior to this event, and he shot and killed Constable Pirlet. Constable Elwood Peck, 25, Constable Gordon Stevenson, 25, and Constable David Weisgerber, 23, were shot to death while attempting to apprehend gunman George Booth, who was firing an Army surplus rifle from the Peterson Creek Bridge in Kamloops. Constable of the RCMP and Constable William Wainwright, a municipal police officer from the Manitoba, was shot while transporting 3 young men suspected of armed robberies in Saskatchewan. Those 2 men, they escaped, and they were later caught trying to enter Banff National Park, but only after 32 more police officers there. Constable George Harrison, 29, and Sergeant Constable, 31. Constable William Doyle, 39, stationed at Three River, Northwest Territories, was shot to death in his sleep by a state prisoner. And August 1920, Constable Ernest Usher, 26, was shot and killed while trying to arrest train robbers at Bellway, Alberta. All of these are statistics and facts, and they have a way of catching our attention. But do they really indicate, or does it really drive home the most important thing? Kevin shared that he realized we can never truly do the right thing when teaching about Canada's military. And when he made his first backfield tour to Europe in 2010, I'm going on to the next one, Kevin, if you have one. He shared that his whole life was statistics and facts about the war really captured his attention, and in many ways, it still does. It wasn't until he stood on the ground where he fought, and in so many cases died, that he shed a tear for the first time while learning about war. Statistics and facts don't translate to the actual lives of those involved. Standing in front of a Canadian gravesite or a memorial where you see a person's actual name causes you to stop, even for a brief moment, and think about that person. They were someone's child, spouse, parent, neighbor, co-worker. They were part of a community. They had a life here, and they had experiences, and they had dreams. No statistics or facts about the war capture that dream. They just think of a person who sacrificed so much for us. Think of someone who died, or think of someone who served and returned. Think of someone you know who's in our Army, our Navy, our Air Force. Think of their names. Think of their families. Think of their lives. As we study the statistics and the facts about our military past, never forget their names. Never forget the people who served and sacrificed.
Thank you, Jeanette, for that very moving and insightful presentation. Just to add a little bit, Jeanette, and she got emotional. It's still hard after knowing Jeanette for as long as I have to imagine a 14-year-old signing up to go to war and losing his life at 16. It's heartbreaking. And then when you drop up the names of RCMP members that have fallen, some of them hit home because I knew some of them. And one young man I encouraged to join the RCMP. So I live with a little regret over that because he lost his life so young. A prayer for peace and for all of you. God, please give us peace. Please free our world from conflict. Bring unity to troubled nations. Let your glorious peace reign in every heart. And I'd like to add a little extra to that. I had the honor of attending my great-nephew's grade 3 Remembrance Day service. And grade 3 put it on, spoke, read, and young Rowan, they sang this song. Now I will not sing for you. For those of you who know how to sing, you don't know it. Or you can attest to it. I know one else wants to hear it. But it's called A Wish for Peace. I wish for you. I wish for me. I wish for all the world to live in harmony. When I look into the sky at night and see the stars above, I wish for peace. I wish for love. I wish for hope. I wish for joy. I wish for all these things for every girl and boy. That wherever in the world they are, they'll see the stars above and wish for peace and wish for love. Please stand for the retrieval of the colors.
Color party. Right turn. Make positions. Quick march. Advance. Left turn. Color party. Retrieve colors.
We will now sing God Save the King.
Color party. Right turn. Color party. Take your position on parade. Quick march. by the left. Quick, march.
Our mission is to serve veterans, including serving military and RCMP members and their families, to promote remembrance, and to serve our communities and our country. All funds collected through the pocky boxes, as well as today's donations, are held in trust to be used to help veterans and their families. This concludes our Remembrance Day service. Thank you all for attending and participating in the service. Special thanks to the members of the Royal Canadian Legion, 300 Fisher Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Cadets, 1st Rosetown Scouts, and Mrs. Claire Seibel for playing piano for our service. You are all invited to a luncheon and fellowship at the Legion after the service, and there will be a silver collection for you.